Time in 2 meetings. Tonight, the Knicks hope to have the answers as they return to the city of brotherly love. We welcome you to the spanking new Core State Center in Philadelphia as we get ready for the Philadelphia 76ers and the New York Knicks about to meet for the third time this season. Let's check out the Atlantic Division standings. The Knicks 16 up, 7 down. They're a game behind the first place Miami Heat, while the Sixers, following the promising start, now 7-16 after losing 8 in a row. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, along with John Andres. And John, for the Knicks tonight, it is another up-close and personal look at the dazzling rookie guard of the Sixers, Allen Iverson. Over those first 2 meetings, the Knicks were just not able to deal with Iverson.
No, he burst loose, and he got what he wanted done, it seemed, every time. And he is certainly the subject of the Knicks' preparation to win this game tonight. Here on November 23rd, Iverson had it all going. That was a 3 for a 72-70 lead at the end of the third quarter. He hit big shots, including this drive to the basket and the short jumper that made it 76-70 in favor of the Sixers. Iverson was tough also around the basket, tipping in his own layup miss. What enthusiasm and what play for Iverson in the 2 games against the Knicks, averaging over 30 a game, shooting the ball well and doing everything else, it seemed, Marv, including averaging 8 rebounds.
Now, among those who will be attempting to contain the quickness of Allen Iverson will be Knicks point guard Chris Childs, who, like his teammates, would like to bounce back from the very long night that they endured against the Pistons on Wednesday night.
Yes, well, here in Philadelphia, though, in late November, it was his first start as a Knick player in the backcourt, and he certainly showed signs of his many skills and his ability to lead the team. It was a memorable night for Chris Childs as well. He had it all going on the offensive end of the court, at one point hitting a 3-point shot, which we've seen lots of lately from Chris Childs. And then off a Patrick Ewing pick, he was right in the flow with a long jump shot. And showing his tenacity at the defensive end, he made a big steal and beat everybody down court for the finish. All in all, it was a 17-point game, shot the ball well, had 4 assists, and it was a sign on that night on November 23rd that Chris Childs would follow with a lot of good, solid basketball after that. But tonight he's also thinking about defense and some help against Allen Iverson.
All right, some pretty good matchups out there, featured or highlighted by Allen Iverson and Chris Childs. We'll be back with the starting lineups in a moment. Welcome back to Philadelphia. We're just about set for the introduction of the starting lineups. Closed captioning brought to you by Empire Blue Cross and Blue Shield, the best of health. All right, we're set to pick it up off the public address. Here are the starters.
At guard, number 20, Allen Houston. At guard, number 1, Chris Childs. Head coach for New York, Jeff Van Gundy. Assistant coaches Don Chaney, Brandon Malone, Jeff Nix, Tom Thibodeau. Trainer is Mike Saunders, and trainer also Tim Walsh. And now, Philadelphia, it's time to get up on your feet and make some noise for your Philadelphia 76ers. A 6'6" forward from Southern Mississippi, number 35, the Spoon, Clarence Witherspoon. A 6'10" forward from Syracuse, number 44, it's DC Derek Coleman. A 6'10" center from the University of North Carolina, number 55, Scott Williams. The number 1 pick in the 1996 NBA Draft. A 6-foot guard from Georgetown University. He is the answer. Number 3, Allen Iverson. The Sixers' first-round draft pick in 1995, a 6'6" guard from North Carolina. Number 42, Jerry Stackhouse. Coaches for the Sixers, Johnny Davis, head coach. Assistant coaches, Mo Cheek, Bob Osika, Ed Badger. Trainer is Kevin Carroll. Equipment manager, Alan Lumpke. Strength and conditioning coach is Jim Gorman.
Well, the 76ers have lost 8 in a row, 9 of the last 11. 7-16 now for the season. While for the Knicks, they had the splendid game Tuesday at the Garden against Utah, the horrendous performance on Wednesday against Detroit. How do you get the players back on an even keel for tonight? Well, John asked that of Knicks assistant coach Brendan Malone.
A day's rest. We had a very good walkthrough. Guys had young legs, and we're a resilient team, and we're a mentally tough team. We know that Detroit isn't as good as they appear to be, and we weren't as bad as we played. I give Detroit a lot of credit. They had a great game plan. They played very well, but that's in the past, and now we have to play a team that's beaten us twice, and we have to go out and try and contain Allen Iverson. Well, the other message, Marv, is they have to walk the walk tonight. After their last game against the Sixers, their leader, Patrick Ewing, said, "We came out with no energy, no emotion." I'm sure the coaching staff doesn't want to hear that tonight, and the Knicks don't want to be reflecting on that either at the end of this game. They have to come out on fire.
And there is Allen Iverson, who's had some problems with the shoulder, that also contributing to the 8 straight losses suffered by the 76ers. The officials tonight, Dick Pavetta, Woody Mayfield, and Bill Spooner. And it will be interesting to see what kind of energy the Knicks do come out with tonight. No fire at all in the game against the Pistons on Wednesday.
I think, Marv, this is also one of those professional pride type games where the players just want to play very hard to show their capabilities. And of course they have to combine that for a win here.
And another tough back-to-back scenario with another shot at the Pistons back in New York tomorrow night. Scott Williams and Patrick Ewing on the opening tip, and it's controlled by the Sixers. Iverson picked up by Childs, and we're underway. Derek Coleman being guarded by Charles Oakley. Clarence Weatherspoon putting the move on Larry Johnson.
Great matchup between Weatherspoon and Larry Johnson. Both of similar height. Both have played the power forward position throughout their careers. Now they're defined as small forwards, and that's a good physical matchup.
Allen Houston eluding Jerry Stackhouse, but getting it up for Charles Oakley. And Oakley tried to save it and then looked to call timeout, but he could not. He stepped out of bounds.
Charles seemed to hesitate a bit on the shot attempt, which he missed, and then in the attempt to make the recovery, couldn't get that timeout worked out quickly enough.
And that would have been a wasted timeout. Opening minute of the game on a save. He's thinking, well, it's the possession, but you might need that 20 later on in the half. Derek Coleman gives the Sixers a 4-0 lead, and some pressure being shown by Philadelphia. Childs gets the pick from Oakley. Ewing called for the travel. Patrick Ewing, who got off to the slow start against the Pistons the other night, had his difficulties with the chicanery of Rick Mahorn, and he is called for the traveling call right at the start.
In the 2 games, Marv, the Knicks have coughed up 20 points due to turnovers. In game 1 they had 15, game 2 they had 21 turnovers, both of them adding up to a total of 40 points, so they've got to cut that down.
Coleman off the mark, and Houston handled. Allen Houston, who had a nightmare in his return to Detroit on Wednesday. Ewing, 76ers with the 4-2 lead.
Scott Williams at 6'10", under Patrick Ewing. Oh, that's Stackhouse, and a nice finish by Ewing defensively, but then Scott Williams comes over after Ewing leaves to help and makes a nice play.
It will be Nick Ball. The 76ers up 6-2. Philadelphia won the previous 2 games of this of the series. Stackhouse rejected, but followed by Williams. Philadelphia winning in New York November 12th, 101-97, their first win at the Garden since January of '94. And then November 23rd here in Philly, the Sixers won once again. Williams on the foul. Scott Williams, a key reserve on the Bulls' first 3 championship teams, spent 4 years with Chicago. This is 3rd season with Philly, and John, he's been an injury hit guy.
Always a hard worker, and he's had good games, though, in the 2 games against the Knicks. He's had a strong presence on the court. Patrick Ewing going to the line early. You can see him wanting to take the ball to the basket. Wise move, because in the game against Detroit, the Knicks' big people got to the line for 1 foul shot, and that was Patrick Ewing in 1 attempt at the line.
So the Knicks trail 6-3. Iverson, that was a 3-point attempt. Childs pops it down. Oakley with the save. Coleman stopped by Oakley. Scott Williams, off a series of pumps, decides to bring it out. And Dick Pavetta calling the foul against the Knicks. A push on Larry Johnson. So the Sixers get the new 24. 3 minutes gone by in this first quarter. Stackhouse from deep.
It certainly is a different game when the opposition isn't hitting their shots, as Philadelphia did so well against the Knicks earlier, and as Detroit did the other night.
Allen Houston tried to keep it alive, but deflected it out of bounds. Sixers' last game was Tuesday night here at home. They were beaten by Charlotte. Derek Coleman had a season high of 27 points. But it has been a long time between victories for the 76ers. 8 straight losses. Weatherspoon called for steps. In the last 5 games, the Sixers have averaged only 82 points per game, and they have died in the 4th quarter. They have averaged only 13 points in the 4th quarter during the course of that losing streak. Here's Houston with Stackhouse hitting the deck. It's a 3 for Allen Houston. So the Knicks and the Sixers are tied at 6. Derek Coleman rejected. Patrick Ewing with the block. 3-on-2. Johnson for Oakley. And Ewing missed the tip. Johnson on the follow.
What an interesting trio by the Knicks. Their whole front line contributed to that hoop.
Knicks 8, Sixers 6. Iverson with a gorgeous move and hits the reverse. Allen Iverson with a beautiful move, then Coleman off the steal. Oakley able to get it back. Allen Houston drawing the foul off the series of head fakes. It is on Stackhouse.
Well, that was a fine recovery by Charles Oakley. You can see that's crossover dribble, absolutely blistering Chris Childs, and then I think Patrick Ewing was spellbound watching that happen.
Larry Johnson off the dribble. And Patrick Ewing set up by Johnson. Knicks with a 10-8 lead. 3.5 gone by. Iverson. And deflected out by the Knicks. So the Sixers will maintain possession.
Combination of Ewing and Oakley working hard on the boards, but they couldn't corral that totally.
The Knicks have been a good road team this season. 7 up, 3 down on the road. Scott Williams.
Well, he shot uncontested. Nobody had their hands up, and that was a nice soft finish by Scott Williams.
The game is tied at 10. Ewing setting the pick. Childs for Oakley. 3-second violation.
Charles was planted in the middle, and actually when he got the ball, he could have gone right up to the basket.
Timeout taken, 6:51 remaining in the first.
And the race is on. Messier gets to the puck. Moves in.
You're right. Chris Childs says he feels particularly responsible. John talked about that with Chris prior to the game.
I think I found my rhythm now. It's time to find when should I step up, when should I just lay back and let everybody else do their thing. I think against Detroit, I kind of tried to feed off the guys and try to get the feel for things instead of going out and just playing my game and letting everybody get a feel off of me, creating a little more and making things happen. And I didn't do that against Detroit, and I was upset that I didn't play up to my capability, and I'm gonna come out and try to do that something different tonight.
Yes, Chris never did get it going early against the Pistons, coming off his best game as a New York Knick. Beautiful pass from Houston, but Oakley could not put it down, and now foul is called. It is against the Knicks. Larry Johnson called for a loose ball foul.
Well, here is what looks like an upcoming layup. That nice slide pass from Allen Houston to Oakley. You can't make it work, and then Larry Johnson piling in over the defender commits the foul.
And Larry will take a seat, replaced by John Wallace, who apparently is very much back into the rotation. He got time in the garbage portion of the game against the Pistons the other night and hit 4 of 6 from the field. Also hit his first NBA three-pointer. Put some extra practice time in the last couple of days, and that may be making an impression. He has been sent in early for the first time in a long while. Illegal defense call for the first time against the Knicks.
Marv, it's no secret that John Wallace has terrific ability, and with the up and down play of the Knicks, he can emerge as a very important player here in his rookie year.
Stackhouse able to beat Houston, and the Sixers lead 12-10.
No help for Houston when he tries to front a man. You got to have help behind you or else.
Houston off the dribble, creating the shot. Oakley able to get to that loose ball. Ewing getting position on Williams. Houston, yes, a 3 for Allen Houston, looking a bit more comfortable as opposed to what we saw against his former teammates, the Pistons, the other night.
That was the inside-out game featuring Ewing getting rid of the ball and not forcing a shot when he was double-teamed.
Stackhouse lost his balance and went down, and it is called a travel. He felt that he was pushed. And you saw the reaction.
Stackhouse getting away from Houston, but then losing his footing.
The Knicks lead by 1 as we come up on 5 minutes left in this first quarter. Marv Albert with John Andres from the Core State Center in Philadelphia. Looks to be a capacity crowd here tonight. Nice move by Childs, and the Knicks now lead 15-12.
What a beautiful move and a lift for Chris Childs to take the little guy all by himself.
Jerry Stackhouse in his second season out of North Carolina with a beautiful stroke for the three-pointer. And And he's tied the game at 15. 5 points for Stackhouse. Ewing, yes, Knicks by 2.
The memory lingers on with Stackhouse being 5 for 5 at Madison Square Garden in their first meeting with 3-point shots.
Stackhouse had it knocked away and hit on a reach-in foul. Foul committed by Ewing. So Stackhouse to the line. At one point this season, the 76ers had a record of 7-8 and appear to be on the verge of making a run at a playoff berth. Now they're 9 games under 500, and another visit to the draft lottery seems to be almost a certainty. Jerry Stackhouse against the Knicks, averaging 25.5 per game. 15 of 30 from the field, 8 of 11 from downtown in those first 2 games.
According to my research, Marv, Jerry Stackhouse eats gummy bears before every game. I'm surprised he wants that out.
It might become fashionable. On the turnover, Sixers get it back. Allen Iverson looks like he has the ball attached to his hand the way he controls it. Coleman back for Iverson for 3. And the Sixers lead 20-17. Jeff Van Gundy wants a timeout. 3:42 remaining in the first quarter. We'll be back in a moment. Ladies and gentlemen. 42 remaining in the first quarter. It's the Sixers 20 and the Knicks 17. Ewing has hit his first 3 shots and a holding foul called on Scott Williams.
Knicks doing some nice work with the big people crossing over, setting picks for Ewing to get free for that low post setup.
Both teams have 3 team fouls. Scott Williams picking up his second. Ewing, and rebounded by Coleman.
Boy, Ewing got the ball with the chance to go right to the hoop, but he went to that short jumper, and then in transition the Knicks come up with that loose basketball.
Here's John Wallen. Oh, he lost the grip. He had a clear pass along the baseline and lost it. Coleman off the spin. Nice move.
Nice pressure by Oakley too. I mean, he was right with him. Just shows you how tough it is to deal with the 6'10" Coleman.
Second field goal for Derek Coleman. Biggest lead of the game. The Sixers by 5. Just under 3 minutes to go. First quarter. Childs
wanted to pass it right till the very end, but he couldn't get a teammate open.
He does have the ability to hang, and he was looking for someone else and then took the shot. It's Weatherspoon getting inside. Buck Williams, John Starks getting set to check in. Childs out for Ewing. Yes. Good start for Ewing.
Childs also breaking down the defense now time and again, getting into the middle of it and setting up his teammates.
Ewing has 9 points. He's hit 4 of 5. 76ers lead by 3 as we come up on 2 minutes left in the first. Iverson for 3. And Ewing to the board.
Ewing looking like he wants to set up a pick and roll, then backs off for Childs to take the 3. In and out.
Here comes Iverson. Takes all the way, and he was hammered. Chris Childs came over at the last instant, and that'll put Iverson at the line, and here comes Starks and Williams.
Well, Iverson's too good to give him all this room. I mean, he didn't meet Childs until the end. Nobody jumped out and helped. Childs a moment ago, though, breaking down the Sixers defense, took on 4 of them to set up Patrick Ewing for a real good look at the hoop, and Patrick came through with the jumper.
Substitution, Mark Davis, who has moved up in the rotation, has checked in, replacing Clarence Weatherspoon. Davis, a second-year player from Texas Tech. Weatherspoon sits down. Mark Davis, a guy who can play forward and guard, signed as a free agent following a year with the Timberwolves. He appeared in 57 games last season with Minnesota.
Well, Childs trying to get by Iverson. Use that protection hand, that left hand, to push Iverson.
And that will be a technical foul. Dick Bavetta, or delay of game. Let's see. As Childs slammed the ball, it's a delay of game. Childs upset with the call. Picks up a second foul.
Taking a look now at Chris Childs trying to get by Iverson. That left hand pins Iverson. You can see it, and Childs would certainly have preferred that call not to be made because he was on his way to the basket as well.
So Charlie Ward has come on, replacing Chris Childs. Charlie Ward took his turns against Allen Iverson in New York, and Iverson goes right at him to draw the foul. Iverson upset that he did not put it down for the potential three-point play.
Well, a little extra dramatics here. I mean, the guy makes an unbelievable move. Here we go. Back and forth, handling the ball beautifully.
And then with a little head fake to cut to the right.
Just incredible. He is so tough. What a package to have to deal with him defensively. The only good thing for the opposition lately is that he has been shooting the ball at a poor percentage from the field. For the season right now, he's at 38%. Take a look at the last 5 games of Iverson, starting from the bottom back. He was 5 for 18 in their last game against Charlotte. Sat out the prior game, and he just hasn't been shooting the ball well from the field. But when he gets around that basket, it's a lot easier for him.
He comes in leading the Sixers, averaging 21.5 points per game. Wallace from Ward, the tip by Oakley, and a foul is called. Basket won't count. Foul on Coleman with 1 minute left in this first quarter. Michael Cage and Rex Walters have come on for the first time for the 76ers. The Knicks now have a front line of Buck Williams, Charles Oakley, and John Wallace, with Charlie Ward and John Starks in the backcourt.
Well, John Wallace didn't make a big impression here in his last visit here in 12 minutes. There were no stats to follow other than minutes. Meanwhile, Charlie Ward just made a terrific play in setting up John Wallace, and Oakley finished beautifully. It's too bad that there was a foul call, because Oakley had some tip-in going.
Oh, Davis was able to penetrate, could not hit. Here comes Starks in the open floor, met by Walters, and then decides to regroup. Good decision by John Starks. Wallace way off. This got glass. Here comes Coleman, and he'll pull it back with 25 seconds to go in the quarter. Philadelphia with the ball. They lead by 4.
Coleman is an excellent ball handler, and he's just consuming the clock dribbling that ball. This is unlikely. Michael Cage, who really shoots. Wow.
Well, Iverson went down, making contact with Ward, looking to get a foul call, then able to recover. Final seconds of the quarter. Here's Charlie Ward. He lost it, and time runs out. After 1 here in Philadelphia, it's the 76ers with a 6-point lead over the Knicks. Responding with the heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield, officially receiving his championship belt from the World Boxing Association. I have a feeling he will receive the championship belt 10 or 15 more times. Why is he receiving it here? However, the crowd loves it.
Marv, Evander is available when there's an NBA game.
Right.
And there's the Bill Cosby sitting in front row fashion. And I must say this, though, I don't think there's a more beloved figure in sports these days than Evander Holyfield. Even when he wasn't the champ, he was still a popular, welcome figure at hoop games.
Actually, one of the major executives, James Binn of the World Boxing Association, is an attorney here in Philadelphia, and I believe that explains this presentation. So it is on to the second quarter, with the Sixers leading the Knicks 26-20. Biggest lead of the game. Sixers 10 of 22, 45%. The Knicks, Philadelphia ended that first quarter with an 11-3 run. Larry Johnson back on the floor playing with 2 fouls. Here's John Starks coming up short on his first shot attempt.
Knicks have to lift up that shooting percentage. 40% is not a winning percentage from the field, particularly on the road.
Walters and Iverson in the backcourt now. Davis, Weatherspoon, and Cage up front. Shot clock is rolled down to 5. Iverson with the step and the pull-up. And Starks moves it down, met by Davis. Johnson spinning Weatherspoon. It counts in the foul.
Well, Larry Johnson, to be effective, has to get the ball quickly, and he has to react quickly, as he did against Weatherspoon. Would look to Larry Johnson inside, no double team. If he's not double teamed, that spinning move is a monster. Normally comes from the other side of the basket, so it's unusual to see him on the lower right side.
A minute in, second quarter, and the Knicks trailing by 4. Rex Walters, the one-time New Jersey net. Rex Walters, a #1 pick of New Jersey in '93, spent 2 full seasons with the Nets, then was dealt to Philly last year in that deal involving Derek Coleman. 6-point 76er lead. Johnson now facing the double team. Walters accelerates. Starks able to stay with him. Weatherspoon from deep. And kept alive by Davis. Pretty backdoor pass for Iverson.
Charlie Wood had his back turned to Iverson.
So once again, the Knicks are having their problems with the Sixers, who beat them twice this season in the 2 earlier meetings. And a foul being called. Dick Pavetta calling a hold on Walters. Allen Houston is back on the floor. 3-guard setup being utilized by Jeff Van Gundy. And John Starks is called. It's a flagrant foul on Starks.
Boy, that was quietly done.
It was done over at the far side. We'll get a look at it as first Walters goes to the line and shoot the technical.
John Starks, in an attempt to keep Walters from getting free, was overly physical with him, and that was a very tight call. Walters trying to move without the ball to set himself up. Now he goes to the foul line. Walters is an excellent shooter. I think a player who a lot of people don't think that much about, but he competes very hard, and he's been a factor in some good moments that the Sixers have had against the Knicks.
76ers lead by 8 with 2 minutes gone by in the second quarter. Iverson slicing his way through, and he is hit. Foul committed by Ward. Charlie Ward is second.
Sixers clear out the entire right side of the court, hoping they'll get the Knicks in an illegal defense structure, and then at least get Iverson. Again, they do it, the movement and the open field that he needs to go into his act.
Played well by Ward, and it leads to a 3-second violation. The downside is that he handles the ball for such a long period of time, everyone else standing around, and in that case it's a 3-second violation. Charlie Ward came on for Chris Childs after Childs picked up a second foul. Allen Houston has the touch. Another 3 for Houston. He's 3 of 3 from downtown. Here's Walters. It counts, and the foul. 76ers lead by 7. Buck Williams called for that foul, and Rex Walters will go to the line. And now Jerry Stackhouse returns, replacing Allen Iverson.
Rex Walters made 3 of his 4 shot attempts in the last meeting against the Knicks. He's certainly not the subject of pregame preparation, but as he's demonstrating right now, he can make shots. He plays 16 minutes a game, or he has on the average this year for Philadelphia.
8-point lead for the Sixers. Starks with the step. Weatherspoon for Stackhouse. It put hold by Davis. This guy's been impressive. I mentioned as he checked in, he has really moved up in the rotation. Played well against the Knicks in New York. And he's given the Sixers a 35-25 lead. The Knicks call for time.
MSG Network. When you want the scores on the high school level, we're all over it.
At Budweiser here on date night in Philadelphia. Bill Cosby with a special gal next to him. If there are things happening in the world of sports in Philadelphia that are important, the Cos is there.
76ers with a 20-8 run the last 7 minutes and 50 seconds to take this 10-point lead. And Mark Davis all over the floor. Second-year player out of Texas Tech.
He plays big, or at least he does against the Knicks. In the 3rd meeting now, the Knicks are noticing Mark Davis. He's had some fine moments. Charlie Ward almost with the steal.
Patrick Ewing is back on the floor. Chris Childs being waved on. He'll replace Charlie Ward. So the Knicks with Ewing, Buck Williams, and Johnson up front. They have Childs and Houston in the backcourt. Here's that hustle effort by Ward. Rex Walters. And Childs with the save, kept alive by Walters. Michael Cage passing up on an outside shot. Took one at the end of the first quarter. Stackhouse. Shot clock at 7. Walters shooting. Weatherspoon. And the Sixers lead 37-25.
Ewing claiming to the official that his teammate was pushed out of the way for that finish by Weatherspoon. Meanwhile, the Knicks, it appears to me, Marv, need Ewing on the floor every minute of this game, unless somebody steps up and starts to score regularly.
Houston, that's a goal count. The basket will count. Allen Houston with 11 points. Prior to that shot, the Knicks 2 for their previous 10.
Very nice move by Allen Houston, accelerating and jumping rather high.
Traveling violation. Derek Coleman getting set to check back in. And here he comes for Clarence Weatherspoon. Leads with 4 points, 5 rebounds. 5 minutes gone by in the second quarter. And the Knicks trailing by 10 points. Childs on the penetration. Rebound, Buck Williams. It counts, and he's fouled. It's a tough shot. He banked it home as he was feeling the contact.
Boy, that was an all-star rebound by Buck Williams. Over traffic, not in traffic, over traffic, and then into the traffic to finish the play. Chris Childs with a nice drive. You can see Buck coming in over people to get that rebound, and he takes it right to the hoop. Super basket.
Foul committed by Michael Cage. And Cage sits down. Scott Williams back on. 3-point play for Buck Williams. 76ers lead by 7.
With Iverson on the bench now, the Knicks have got to do the best they can to get even in this game at least.
The spinning move by Stackhouse. And he stepped out of bounds. And here comes Iverson. So Allen Iverson is back, replacing Rex Walters. Walters leads with 5 points. And that substitution is now being waved off. Next dead ball, Iverson will appear. The Knicks with a record of 16-7, a game behind first place Miami in the Atlantic Division. They had the 7-game win streak stopped in that pounding by the Pistons the other night. Shot clock is down to 2. Childs fires the 3. And here comes Davis. He takes all the way. Mark Davis straight down the middle of the floor.
That was a classic 3-on-2 with the Sixers having the 3, and they couldn't stop Davis. And his jumping ability took him right to the rim.
Mark Davis, 8 minutes, has accounted for 4 points and 5 rebounds. The Knicks are down by 9. Stackhouse changed his mind on the 3 and is called for the offensive foul. Good play by Childs to draw Stackhouse to him. And now Iverson checks in.
It would be helpful for Ewing, and we'll take another look now at Stackhouse on the move, committing the foul. For Ewing to start going to the basket, because there's just no rebounding should he miss those fadeaway jump shots.
And Ewing that time had a wide open situation. Scott Williams claiming that Ewing shoved him aside.
Scott Williams is doing a terrific job if he gets Ewing to take a jump shot, but when Patrick goes to the hoop, forget about it.
22nd timeout taken by 76er coach Johnny Davis. The Sixers now lead the Knicks 39-32 with 5:21 remaining in this first half. Now they've changed to a full timeout as you take another look at Ewing. Putting it down for Ewing, 11 points.
Imagine no possession.
And Home Video present Pinstripe Destiny, the story of the 1996 World Champions. A 60-minute sports documentary giving you a chance to relive the incredible highlights and stories from the New York Yankees 1996 World Championship season. To order for $19.95 plus shipping and handling, call 1-800-225-2377.
76ers lead the Knicks 39-32. 5 minutes remaining in the first half. Childs in Houston now at the guards with Ewing, Johnson, and Buck Williams up front. Childs being played by Iverson.
Ewing wants that ball to go to the corner to Childs so he could get a shot. In the meantime, Allen Houston shows the touch.
Allen Houston with 14 points, 4 of 5 from downtown. So the Knicks now trail by 4. Here's Childs. And it's an offensive foul.
Oh, is he upset? Is he upset?
For Chris Childs, his 3rd personal. And he'll pick up a tee. He better move away.
Well, he knows it's going to happen. But he also knew he was going to the bench, and that's why I think he continued, Marv, you know.
Being guided aside by Patrick Ewing and Allen Houston. He's very fortunate that a technical, well, apparently it was. A technical was called. And Derek Coleman will shoot the tee.
He fouled out last time here in Philadelphia. He's off to a good start tonight. The frustration just overcame him. Now, Childs reads this call by the official as unfair to him because he felt the defender was under the basket, too close to the basket, and he was entitled to that space in front of the basket. That's what his argument was.
For Childs, sitting down with his 3rd. Charlie Ward is back. And Iverson got the step and then took a shot. Buck Williams helping out as Iverson was able to make the move around Ward, and Buck committed the foul.
Buck Williams inflicting some pain. Another look at Childs' move a moment ago. Coming down, getting a clear path to the basket and in the air. And I can see his point.
Back live, Iverson missing a 20-foot jump shot. The Knicks trail by 5, coming up on 4 minutes remaining in this first half. Larry Johnson. Charlie Ward. The Knicks only 40% from the field. And back comes Ward.
Knicks have 5 on 3.
Ewing. Johnson on the follow. So the Sixers now lead 40-37. Philadelphia has led by as many as 12, and the Knicks now within 3. Pass play broken up. And Ward hit from behind.
Knicks getting some motion out here because of their tenacity. Deflecting of that basketball around the Sixers basket opens up a running opportunity. It's amazing how they take on a different look when they get some motion going out there.
Foul on Scott Williams, his 3rd. The Knicks and the Sixers each have 4 team fouls. And Johnson will put it in play.
Houston, the target of that low pick by Ewing.
Beautiful release by Allen Houston, now being guarded by Lucius Harris, who came on just a moment ago. Allen Houston has been on fire. 6 of 9 from the field. He has 16 points. And the Knicks are down by just 1. Iverson lost it off his foot. And a foul. So that, again, is the downside of a player who has incredible skills, but he just dribbles the ball too much. And as a result, you have plays like this.
You can also see him carrying that basketball as well. That call is coming more and more his way, which is an infraction when you dribble the ball and turn it over with your top of your hand. And he also dribbles so high, he stinks.
Get rid of him. Get him out of the league.
Knicks are very fortunate to be getting the Sixers on a night when there are some infractions coming, more so than in their first 2 meetings.
Well, that should not be the consideration. You would think that the Knicks should handle a club like the 76ers. This team has lost 8 in a row. They have beaten the Knicks on the 2 previous occasions, but when you look at the matchups, I don't think you're saying, hey, we need some breaks tonight against the Sixers.
Oh, it certainly helps, though, the way the Knicks have been, even in this game, slowly emerging throughout the game, not playing at the level, certainly, that Jeff Van Gundy expects.
Charlie Ward has tied the game. So for Ward, his first 2 points of the night. And the Knicks lead by 1. A 16-3 spurt over the last 4 minutes and 40 seconds. Iverson putting moves on, slicing, pulling up, and hitting. And he thought he was fouled. Sixers lead by 1 with 2:25 to go in the half. Ward for 3. Yes. Charlie Ward from downtown, and Ward looking for the steal. Deflected it out.
Ewing doing a nice job playing with his teammates. The inside-outside really works when the perimeter guys are hitting those shots.
Stackhouse. Jerry Stackhouse with his 3rd field goal.
Very tough man to deal with because he can explode to the basket, and when that jump shot's on, he's a monster too.
9 points in all for Stackhouse. Iverson high man for the Sixers with 11. Pretty left-handed hook by Buck Williams.
Soft feed too by Ward.
Knicks by 2. Here's Iverson, got the step, and it was knocked away by Ward. Charlie Ward getting a piece of it.
Iverson exploding to the basket again. Charlie Ward from behind, thanks to Buck Williams stopping Iverson, enabling Ward to catch up.
Iverson for Weatherspoon. Had a knocked away strip by Ward. Good hands again by Charlie. 9 seconds to go on the shot clock. Minute and a half remaining in this first half. The Knicks leading the 76ers 46-44. There's the head coach Johnny Davis in his first year as the head coach of the Sixers, taking over from John Lucas. Spent 6 years in the NBA as an assistant with Atlanta, the Clippers, and Portland. Had a 10-year playing career with the Blazers and the Hawks, the Pacers, the Cavaliers. Member of that Portland NBA championship team that beat Philadelphia in 1977. 16th head coach of the Sixers. That 77 team had a big red-headed fellow who was pretty good, I thought.
He yaps a lot on NBC, doesn't he now?
Man. Holding foul. Hold on Williams.
And Johnny Davis chosen for this job by Brad Greenberg, who he knew from Portland days. Brad, the GM here in Philadelphia now. Liked Johnny Davis as a head coach.
A brick thrown up by Derek Coleman, and Buck Williams, who committed that last foul, will sit down, replaced by Charles Oakley. For the 76ers, it is the beginning of yet another new era. Gone are former owner Harold Katz, the general manager and coach John Lucas, the new team president Pat Croce, the colorful one-time fitness guru for the Flyers and the 76ers, and as I mentioned, John, the new general manager is Brad Greenberg, who's also a former Knicks assistant coach, and the new coach Johnny Davis. Remember Johnny Davis as a player chewing on a toothpick. Good play by Iverson to knock it away from Ward. Last touch by Ward. Remember him playing with a toothpick in his mouth?
Yes.
We don't see any more of that type of stuff, John.
We need characters.
Right. Iverson. Weatherspoon keeps it alive. And a foul call. Both teams are now over the limit. Weatherspoon to the free throw line.
Personal foul,
Foul on Charles Oakley. So Clarence Weatherspoon, a 76% free throw shooter. He's in his 5th NBA season out of Southern Mississippi. Can be an explosive player, but he's been undersized as a power forward. And the feeling around here is if the Sixers were to make a trade, he is the most likely to go. Just under 1 minute remaining in this first half. The game is tied at 46. Ward for 3. Stackhouse with Iverson. 2 Knicks back. Stackhouse on the hesitation move. It counts. No, it doesn't. It's been waved off. Oh, Stackhouse very upset. The foul on Houston, and the official Bill Spooner said the play had ended, so he does not get the continuation call.
Bill Spooner has not been a popular figure here with the players on the floor tonight. What a spectacular shot. Any player would argue that one in his favor.
Jerry Stackhouse left North Carolina following a sophomore year. Here's another look at it, putting the move on Houston, and right at the point of that foul, the call and the judgment of Bill Spooner was the play had ended.
I think a lot of officials would have given him the basket, though.
76ers by 2. And it will be Sixer ball.
Ewing couldn't handle that pass inside.
Coming up, the Tri-State Jeep and Eagle halftime report. Mike Crispino at the sports desk will have first half highlights. There's only one Jeep that's only at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer.
Well, Iverson now will work with the 8 seconds he has. Floor is open for him to make all the decisions.
And his decision, an alley-oop that misfired, and Here comes Johnson. Final seconds of the half. Feeds Oakley. 4 seconds remaining in the half. Iverson looking to center court, gets it across and gets the shot off. It hits! It counts! It's a 3 for Iverson. Wow. He was having difficulty handling the ball, having problems getting it across midcourt, and he's given the Sixers a 3-point lead at the half.
Slick handling of the basketball. Looks like he shot it off the wrong foot. But Iverson comes through again to excite this crowd and give his team a 3-point edge at the half off the wrong foot.
Allen Iverson with 14 points in the first half to lead the 76ers. Allen Houston's had the hot hand for the Knicks with 16. The Sixers by 3. We'll be back in a minute. Starks digging and giving it up. Williams with the facial. Jeep Grand Cherokee. Well, the 76ers led by Allen Iverson, 5 of 13, taking a lot of shots, 14 points in all, 2 from downtown, including that last-second fling to end the first half. Jerry Stackhouse with 11 on 3 of 6 from the field, while the Knicks getting a strong performance from Allen Houston, 6 of 9, 4 of 5 from three-point range, 16. Patrick Ewing with 11 points. Now look at the halftime highlights brought to you by Jeep Wrangler, the official top-down fun in the sun on and off-road vehicle from Jeep.
Well, as usual, it seems Allen Iverson is the man. Certainly a crossover dribble execution. Patrick Ewing couldn't stop him. Certainly Ward couldn't. That was a beauty. Mark Davis, a man you don't hear much about, but if you're the Knicks, you know who he is. He came down on a 3-on-2 and kept it right to the basket with a beautiful move. And Patrick Ewing getting the ball no problem. He sent it outside. The Knicks inside-outside game finished. That was Allen Houston.
And you've been watching the Tri-State Jeep and Eagle halftime report. There's only one Jeep. It's only at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer. Birthday of Dave Stallworth. Dave the Rave was selected by the Knicks in the second round of the 1965 draft out of Wichita State. Stallworth was a key member of New York's first NBA championship team in 1970, providing strong play off the bench.
This date in Knicks history has been
Look at the Toyota matchup. Third straight game, John. Chris Childs with only 2 points at the half. Tuesday night against Utah, he turned that around in dramatic fashion, but Allen Iverson has been his usual spectacular self against the Knicks.
Fortunately, not shooting as well as he has against the Knicks in the prior games, but still super tough. Speaking about super tough, there's Skinny Murray's cheeks. I saw him shooting around before the game and made the cute remark, "Are you playing tonight, Maurice?" He said, "No, he had a game tomorrow at 11, and I believe him." Playing the league here in Philadelphia, undoubtedly.
Maurice Cheeks, a terrific point guard over the years with the Sixers. Spent some time with the New York Knicks. Had his career assist mark passed by last season by John Stockton of the Utah Jazz, who's now #1 in that department. Third quarter underway, and the Knicks back to their usual starting lineup. Ewing with Oakley and Johnson on the front line. Houston and Childs in the backcourt. And Allen Houston with 18 points.
Allen Houston tonight is shooting over smaller defenders. That's really helping him. And, you know, it's also helping him psychologically after that disappointing performance in Detroit.
What a difference tonight is now Stackhouse comes up short. And it's Childs with Houston, and here is Houston fouled by Weatherspoon. He came out on the court the other night at the Palace. Always tough to read a guy, by taking a look at him. They look to be an emotional wreck. I mean, he was very affected by the whole situation, and just never did get into it. Just played softly and committed 5 turnovers. It'll be interesting to see how he reacts back at the Garden tomorrow night against the Pistons.
It's going to be there, Marv?
I will have to miss it. but I will try to pick it up. I'll be in Buffalo. MSG Network does go to Buffalo. Football duties. I know you'll be following those quarter-by-quarter scores as the Bills and the Chiefs meet on Sunday.
I certainly will.
John, who earlier asked me, does Cookie Gilchrist still play for the Buffalo?
Come on now, that's
traveling violation. The Knicks with a 52 lead. Opening minute, third quarter.
Knicks spreading the offense out well, creating some opportunities to move to the basket, with Chris Childs getting fouled on that attempt.
Tripping foul on Iverson. That is his second personal. Here's Ewing with the open shot.
Childs' time was limited somewhat in the first half with those 3 fouls. Only played 14 minutes. Charlie Ward did a good job, though, filling in.
Shot clock at 7. Coleman working for possession.
Unstoppable. Oakley once again right with him, but at the end of the move, he's unstoppable.
Sixers by 1. Now Larry Johnson taking it to Clarence Weatherspoon. Gives it up. Patrick Ewing. And the Knicks now lead 54-53. 13 points for Ewing. Iverson. And the Sixers maintain possession. Philadelphia 76ers with 8 straight losses. They come off a defeat at the hands of Charlotte on Tuesday. They have lost 9 of their last 11 games. This after the decent start. Traveling violation is called. The losing streak began in San Antonio the 4th of December, continued through a Texas swing. 22nd timeout called. They lost at home to Seattle and Miami. They lost at Charlotte. They lost at Atlanta. And Tuesday night lost here against Charlotte. And we talked about this earlier, John. They're averaging just over 82 a game over the last 5. And just 13 points in fourth quarters of the last 5 games.
Yes, they've been dying in the latter part of games. That's emerged since they met the Knicks last at 2-9. Totally different team. In fact, their best wins, it appears, have been against the Knicks, although they had one game in late November against Miami, which was a victory. But the Knicks have been the highlight of their season thus far.
And Johnny Davis now can look forward to tomorrow night, home for the Chicago Bulls. This Pat Croce, the new president of the 76ers. He is on the right. So you got the Bulls tomorrow, and it gets worse. They go west for a 7-game road trip.
Which adds to the importance for them of this game.
The Knicks with the ball and a 1-point lead. Offensive foul. Larry Johnson, that is his 3rd.
It would certainly be wise of the Knicks, it appears, to pour that ball into Ewing.
Ewing 6 of 10, 13 points. Allen Houston is the high man for the Knicks. He has 20. Weatherspoon.
That's another one of those unstoppable moves. He was guarded well by Larry Johnson.
Sixers by 1. Ewing. And the Knicks recapture the lead.
He stands just above the crowd here in the matchup he's involved with Scott Williams.
Coleman lost the dribble. Try to make the turn on Oakley.
Chris Childs yelling out what he wants to clear out for Larry Johnson. Send Patrick Ewing to the other side of the court.
And Larry Johnson goes for the jump shot. He has hit on 4 of 5. He has 8 points. The Knicks now lead by 3.
I'm not sure, Marv, when we have seen a backcourt man on the Knicks order Patrick Ewing from one side of the court to the other. Very demonstrative by Childs.
We have seen Chris Childs take charge, which is what the position calls for. He's not shooting well tonight, though. 1 of 7 from the field.
Again, that was one of those situations where he didn't want to shoot, but he committed himself to the air, but there weren't any teammates moving, making themselves targets for a pass.
Good defense by the Knicks here in the third quarter. Sixers having trouble finding shots and finding good shots. And here's Johnson with Coleman back. Iverson with that high dribble and now pulls it up as the Sixers take a timeout. 7:46 remaining in the third. Knicks by 3.
Another ride, another June, another sunny afternoon, another season, another reason for making worry. Cruising along the highway, feeling a smile begin. Maybe you had it better, but you don't know where or when. You got the life that you deserve. You took the prize, now take that curve. 'Cause here you are now. You got the car now for making whoopee.
The brand new DeVille for the time of your life.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What can I do for you?
2 copies, please.
Yesterday, Evelyn Hartwell fulfilled a dream big enough to change her life, small enough to hold in her hand. She got the keys to her first home.
Thank you.
By the way, congratulations.
For a free guide that can help you get a home of your own, call the Fannie Mae Foundation. We're showing America a new way home.
Remember, when you're having good times with good friends, to drink responsibly, because friends know when to say when. A reminder from your friends at Budweiser. You got to be trim, though. Even though you're a young guy, you got to slim down. And
John lashing out at the youngsters.
If you
here.
want to play in this game, you want to get on the court.
Knicks 58 of the Sixers 55. 7:46 to go in the third quarter, and the Knicks with the 10-4 advantage in this third quarter. Stackhouse posting up and gives it up to Scott Williams. A rare jump shot for Scott Williams. Oakley sets the pick. Houston putting moves on Stackhouse. Stackhouse has had a quiet night. It is only his 4th field goal. He has 13 points. And the Knicks lead is now 1. Here's Childs. And he was blocked. Foul called on the Sixers. It's on Williams. That is number 4.
On the last possession, listen to Oakley hitting the floor.
A massive collision with Scott Williams. And now Michael Cage will come on for Scott Williams, who just picked up number 4. Michael Cage, who spent last season with the Cleveland Cavaliers, signing with the Sixers as a free agent. Iverson picks it up, and very quickly the 76ers have 4 team fouls. Knicks do not have any. Ewing played by Cage. Touch pass from Oakley, looking for Johnson.
Yes, the Knicks caught the Sixers in a defensive rotation that left Oakley wide. Left Larry Johnson wide open.
Coleman gets inside. And the 76ers lead by 1. 9 points for Derek Coleman. 6.5 remaining, third quarter. Ewing, yes.
What a beautiful execution. The first cutter, Houston, it didn't work for him as the target. Ewing, who had set the pick at the foul line, then stepped to the corner and got the nice pass off the penetration by Childs.
Ewing 8 of 12. He has 17 points. Stackhouse played well by Houston, although Stackhouse thought that he was fouled. Knicks lead by 1, 60-59. Oakley. Childs try to follow it up. Here's Coleman with Childs back. Stackhouse for 3. Childs. Here's Childs. Now 1 of 8 from the field.
Trying to be more forceful. He indicated that before the game, as opposed to how he played in Detroit when he was looking to his teammates, but he's just not hitting the shots.
Oakley for Johnson. And the Knicks now have a 62-59 lead. Knicks picking it up, starting with the second quarter, about midway through after a lackluster first quarter.
You know, there's a feeling, Marv, I get that this game for both teams has somewhat lost its passion. The Knicks are playing hard, but there doesn't seem to be. I mean, they're playing as if they. I guess they feel like they look like they're taking over the game, even though the lead is only 3 points. But there's not that craziness we've seen sometimes going on out there.
Allen Houston, 8 of 12, 22 points, and it leads to a 76er timeout. And Allen Houston greeted in emotional fashion by John Starks, which tells you a lot about John Starks, because he's been sitting quite a bit tonight because of the hot hand of Allen Houston.
Yes, he's only played 5 minutes. Same thing happened against Utah at the Madison Square Garden. And you're right, Marv, it is a compliment to him. Meanwhile, the Knicks just get the feeling that something is building here where they can take this game over. Allen Houston moving up court in the middle of a fine shooting game for him. Stackhouse guarding him. Houston change of pace. And by that constant motion, he set himself up beautifully for a move that was well executed. The Detroit Pistons are busy in Indiana tonight, but I think Allen would hoping that the Pistons might be seeing him in action. But undoubtedly, Doug Collins will be checking him out when he sees the game tapes, probably at about 2 this morning.
Offensive foul on Stackhouse, so the Knicks get it back. Knicks with their biggest lead of the game. 6-0 run by New York, and they're up 64-59. And here's Houston. Back comes Iverson. And he's called for a common violation.
Well, they're on the lookout for that, no question. He knew that when he came in the league. It's been a hot topic in the game of Allen Houston. Let's see him turn that ball over. That wasn't as gross as many other moves we have seen. The official had the better angle than we did on that one.
The call by Woody Mayfield, and then he explained it. He gave his interpretation to Allen Iverson. All right, here comes Rex Walter. Just checked back in. Cut off by Houston. Coleman for 3. And Ewing with the one-hand rebound. Rebound number 9 for Patrick Ewing.
That last turnover was number 13 for the Knicks, but they've only given up 10 points off those. Meanwhile, the Knicks have gained 23 points.
And Chris Childs with a hard drive to the hoop. That is only a second field goal, but it extends to a 7-point Knick lead. Oh, Iverson lost his footing. Oakley with Cage back. Oh, he fires it to the second row. Bad pass by Charles Oakley. The Knicks in the midst of an 8-0 run. And they had an opportunity with that 3-on-2 developing. Walters handling the ball. He and Iverson in the backcourt. Weatherspoon is up front with Coleman and Cage.
Double team immediately comes to Coleman. Ends up with Weatherspoon putting the ball on the floor and driving hard to the basket, but Oakley was there to draw the foul, the offensive foul.
On the charge, that's number 3 by Weatherspoon, and a timeout taken.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for the Pepsi.
Happy holidays from Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena.
The Nordic.
Hey, did you know TV? Take this test. What's in 2 out of every 3 homes? What do Americans watch 70% more of than just 6 years ago? What are advertisers turning to in record numbers? If you said cable TV, smart choice. From Main Street to Madison Avenue, America's sold on cable.
To find out how you can advertise on cable television, call 718-991-6000 today.
Does your back ache even when you sit? Wait. Introducing the Contour Seat Cushion. Turns any chair into the best seat in the house. Our exclusive 2-layer design provides superior comfort and support. Soft white foam fingers adjust to your shape, while the firm blue layer gives comforting support. The extra tall back cushion fits your natural curves, from your lower back all the way up to your shoulder blades. The unique wedge boosts your posture and repositions your body to help reduce strain on your lower back. Plus, our special tailbone cutout helps relieve pressure around the base of your spine, reducing stiffness and fatigue. What a relief. It's the most complete seating system ever, all for only $19.95. Order now and we'll include this washable cover and $8 value free. So you can use the cushions together or alone. You get the back cushion, the seat wedge, and the cover. Order now.
Call 1-800-572-4566 now to order and receive your washable cover free. That's 1-800-572-4566. Order now.
Well, the busy NBA schedule is just that for the Knicks. Delta Airlines' upcoming schedule has the Knicks home tomorrow at the Garden against the Detroit Pistons, the revenge game. MCS Cannon Knicks game night at 7 o'clock. Monday night, the Atlanta Hawks, who are playing good basketball, will be at the Garden. Thursday, day after Christmas, the Knicks go to Minnesota. That'll be an 8 o'clock game. MCS Cannon Knicks game night at 7:30 on Thursday.
2.5 remaining, third quarter. And a strong quarter for the Knicks, who are up by 7. 3-point shot. Larry Johnson from deep in the corner. He now has 13, and the Knicks lead by 10. Larry Johnson shooting well, 6 of 8 overall.
It was very impressive to see Ewing decisively give that ball to him across court.
Walters. Ewing with the rebound. The Knicks have taken over here on the third. Childs for 3.
It's wonderful when they go up and in when you force them like Childs did, but when you miss them, it's horrible. The teammates just ran down court to nothing.
And a hold. Foul on Oakley. And here's John Starks for Allen Houston. Allen Houston putting on a display tonight. 8 of 13. What a touch. 22 points. Hit 4 3-pointers. An 11-0 run by the Knicks. Here's Iverson. Another 3-pointer goes astray. Walters lost it. Challenging Ewing and had it knocked away. Starks. Yes. 13 unanswered by the Knicks. and they lead 71-59.
John Starks, in his 6th minute of play tonight, comes in with the hot hand.
Walters. So that ends the 13-0 run. The Knicks now up 71-61 with 1 minute remaining in the third. Sixers went 5 minutes without a point. Ewing played by Cage. Johnson for 3 from the other side. Larry Johnson hit a 3 from the right-hand corner and now from the left. And the Knicks now lead 74-61. Apparently a problem with the clock, which they have adjusted. And now we're set to resume.
Very exciting for Knick fans and for Knick players to see Larry Johnson shoot the ball that well. Look at the Knicks' three-point shooting tonight.
And Iverson for 3. Sixers having their problems from long range. Well, Ewing altered that last shot by Coleman. Coleman battling to get it off, and he drew the foul. Foul on Ewing, and Coleman to the line. Patrick Ewing with a very strong performance. 17 points, 8 of 12 from the field, 10 rebounds. In this third quarter, he has 6 of the 17 points and 7 of his 10 rebounds. And Derek Coleman embarrassed by that last effort. Although that is not a happy smile. He's just embarrassed.
Some turnaround for the Knicks in the three-point department. First 2 games, they were 9 for 28. Philadelphia 22 of 40. Knicks have turned around big in that department.
And Derek Coleman and the Sixers are hearing the boos from the crowd. Coleman 1 of 5 at the line. We're down to 10 seconds in the quarter.
Boy, the official missed a foul by Coleman on the cutting Starks. Coleman leaned in and elbowed him as he tried to cut down the middle.
Here's Iverson from beyond midcourt. So the Knicks outscore the Sixers 26-10 in the third and lead by 13.
Good. Good. Wise.
5 days till Christmas? Nobody Beats the Wiz is open from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Okay, I'll just go. They have great gift ideas, especially for last-minute gifts in all different price ranges. TVs and cameras. A camera. That won't seem like a last-minute gift. They have thousands of items to choose from. And with Wiz Bucks, I'll get the lowest price possible, because it's added savings only from Nobody Beats the Wiz. Okay, for everyone who has last-minute gifts to buy, Christmas is 5 days away.
Announcing the Adventure Discovered Sweepstakes.
I've been shopping, big time. It's all right here on my Discover Card statement.
Use your Discover Card, and you could win everything on Boyd Matson's statement.
Patagonia. It's me. 2 tickets on American. My new Jeep.
Plus, you'll join him on
a National Geographic filming expedition.
It's the grand prize in the Adventure Discovered Sweepstakes.
Well, I've done my shopping. Have you?
It pays to discover. Watch National Geographic Explorer on TBS.
The Maglite flashlight is a work of art that works. A Maglite flashlight is the brilliant gift idea for any occasion.
New York Knicks basketball is brought to you in part by the United States Postal Service. We deliver for you. By Minosa, the official camera of the Garden. And by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer. There's only one Jeep, and it's only at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer.
Well, Johnny, our Coke Classic play tonight involves a book signing yesterday at the Barnes & Noble bookstore, Union Square. The 1972-73 New York Knicks, the championship Knicks, reunited for garden photographer George Kalinsky's book signing, the book called The New York Knicks, the official 50th anniversary celebration. Johnny Hoop's always very attentive. On the phone.
I was talking to WFAN's Deb Kaufman at MSG's.
Yeah.
Deb Kaufman describing what was going on at Barnes & Noble. A very nice evening, I must say, for George, who inspired the Knicks to come back and get together and do a nice thing.
Yes, Bill Bradley on hand, Dave DeBuscher, Willis Reed, Earl Monroe, Dean Meminger, Nick coach Red Holzman. Another look if you missed it the first time around. I like the technique holding the finger in the ear as you're chatting on the phone.
I learned that from former Knicks broadcaster Jim Carvello.
Yes, who was a master at that, yes. as I recall. Doug Overton has checked in as this fourth quarter gets underway, being guarded by Charlie Ward. And here's Derek Coleman. Kept alive by Michael Cage. Oh, a hard foul as Ewing went for the steal. 3 on Ewing. The Knicks taking control in the third with a 26-10 advantage. At one point, 13 unanswered. 11 of 20 for the Knicks in the third quarter, and the Sixers 5 for 20 from the field.
For the game, the Knicks are at 49%, which is excellent on the road particularly, and the Sixers are at 37%.
A minute gone by in this fourth quarter. Here's Davis. Allen Houston on the follow-through of that missed shot by Davis. Took a shot in the chin.
Ewing is now in double figures with 11 rebounds. He is aggressively going to the boards.
Ewing going at Cage. And back comes Walters. Rich Walters cut off by John Starks, and then able to work his way in. Coleman stripped. And Houston hit on the reach-in by Cage. Buck Williams, who is checking in earlier tonight, moved into the number 8 spot all-time for career minutes, passing by Bill Russell on a very impressive list.
And going strong, too. I mean, Buck Williams shows no signs of his 16th year in the NBA.
Charlie Ward able to get to that pass. The end result, Allen Houston with another 3. So the Knicks lead 77-61. He's 5 of 6 from downtown. 25 points in all for Houston. And off the triple team, the Knicks get a tie-up. They will jump it up. For the Knicks, it could not be any better in the second half. They turned things around midway through the second quarter. A very strong performance tonight.
Yes, and they seem to be really loose now, which is natural when you get a lead, but the Knicks have certainly needed this after the game in Detroit the other night, which followed a tremendous emotional victory against the Utah Jazz.
The loss to the Pistons stopped the Knick win streak at 7, so they have won 7 of the last 8 and 8 of the last 10 for the record of 16-7. Houston. Change of pace move by Walters, and a foul. Stackhouse hit from behind by Oakley. Allen Iverson checking back in, replacing Doug Overton.
Iverson following a shooting pattern of late tonight. 5 of 18 from the field. Matter of fact, the Sixers in general, I mean, their team shooting this year at up till now at 42%. That's Iverson of late. You can see he's been having a lot of problems, including 2 of 17. But the Sixers right now are 3rd from the bottom in the NBA from the field. Orlando Magic at 40%, followed by the Nets. And then it's Philadelphia from the field.
I think the most damaging statistic when you look at the stat line of Iverson tonight, only 1 assist, and he's the point guard. Starks for 3. Yes! John Starks has come off the bench. Has not played much, only 9 minutes, but he's hit 2 shots since coming back into the ball game. And for the Sixers, on the other hand, it has become just awful. They're now 36% shooting. And once again, they're having problems scoring. That's been the case through this 8-game lead. And foul is called. Oakley coming over the back of Coleman. That's number 4 on Oakley. And Johnny Davis wants to talk it over. 8:54 remaining in the 4th. And the Knicks have opened up a 17-point lead.
We know this is probably the last thing you want to think about right now. So don't. Think about this. Jeep Grand Cherokee for only $349 a month. Or Jeep Cherokee with special values. Both have Jeep's legendary 4-wheel drive system to get you through the deepest snow. So head over to your local Jeep and Eagle dealer today to take advantage of these deals. Then you won't ever have to think about this again.
See your tri-state Jeep and Eagle dealer.
What does it feel like in the new Club World tilting cradle seat? What does it feel like in the Club World London Arrivals Lounge with private showers?
They come from the toughest courts on earth. They are the masters of their game. And people everywhere look up to them for one obvious reason. Oh! They're tall. They're real tall.
I bet that hurt, huh? No, it's ticked. Say it again, man. You got a big hammer here.
Reminder, tomorrow night, starting at 7:30 on MSG2, the Rangers go up against the Montreal Canadiens. Pre-game coverage beginning at 7 o'clock with MCS Cannon Rangers game night. Rangers turning things around. Only 1 defeat the last 12 games. And they have the combination of Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier operating together. What a season it's been for Gretzky. Iverson gets inside. And a foul is called. Iverson going to the reverse and hit by Ward. And look at the differential here. The Knicks 24 assists. The 76ers only 8. Childs with 7 of the 24. Larry Johnson with 5. Charles Oakley with 4. And Allen Iverson, as we mentioned a moment ago, just 1 assist. So the Knicks with an 80-65 lead. 8:45 remaining in the 4th quarter. They double up on Starks. Now they go to the double on Buck Williams. Houston from deep. And back comes Iverson. Met by Starks. Walters, he's been off. Rebound, Coleman. 11 for Derek Coleman. The Knicks lead is 13. Trap Ward and a foul results. A hold on Iverson. A moment ago, that shot by Derek Coleman, only the 2nd field goal for the Sixers the last 10 minutes. And the Knicks take a 20-second timeout. Now, apparently, they have changed to the full timeout. The Knicks 80, Sixers 67. We'll be back in a moment.
chance for Siena to battle the Saints in a tough MAC Conference showdown. Sunday afternoon, right here on MSG.
What are you doing this? Does your back ache even when you sit? Wait. Introducing the Contour Seat Cushion. Turns any chair into the best seat in the house. Our exclusive two-layer design provides superior comfort and support. Soft white foam fingers adjust to your shape, while the firm blue layer gives comforting support. The extra tall back cushion fits your natural curves, from your lower back all the way up to your shoulder blades. The unique wedge boosts your posture and repositions your body to help reduce strain on your lower back. Plus, our special tailbone cutout helps relieve pressure around the base of your spine, reducing stiffness and fatigue. What a relief. It's the most complete seating system ever, all for only $19.95.
Order now, and we'll include this washable cover and $8 value free.
So you can use the cushions together or alone. You get the back cushion, the seat wedge, and the cover. Order now.
Call 1-800-572-4566 now to order and receive your washable cover free. That's 1-800-572-4566. Order now.
Cable offers a powerful new force in local retail advertising. Bring the power and prestige of television advertising into the homes of your prospective customers. You can advertise on local cable at prices competitive with newspaper and radio. Your commercial will reach the prospects you want to reach for the products or services you sell. Use the sight, sound, color, and motion of television to let people know about your business. Call us today.
Chicago tonight marks the first of the three in Philadelphia. I'm thinking of Chicago, the opponent of the Sixers tomorrow night.
And a member of the NBA, and a city in the United States.
Michael Jordan also. Anyway, in Philadelphia, the Knicks once again are happy people, the people down here, part of the Brotherly Love Express now for the 7th year under Frank Murphy, Vice President and Business Manager of the Knicks, and also in attendance, Cal Ramsey, Director of Community Relations for the Knicks. They invite several fans down here, and there are over 100 here tonight, and they're having a good time in Philadelphia. Well, they also later this season, Marv, will be going to Los Angeles and Chicago.
Yes,
that's right.
Yes.
I knew there'd be an Chicago tie-in.
You know, they say with color commentators, it's a slow process as it goes. It's you're in the early stages, right? Again, the trap on Ward. Buck Williams. And the Knicks now lead 82-68. You know, I myself would have enjoyed that little segment.
I know. You have a bloodthirsty quality.
That was good. Here's Iverson for three. Kept alive by Davis. Lost the dribble off his foot and then lost it to Starks. Foul committed by Davis.
Boy, Starks really made it happen. I mean, he just went after that ball, made it come his way.
Foul committed by Eric Coleman. There's Jeff Van Gundy, who was actually hired as Knicks coach last March here in Philadelphia, as you get another look at that last play. And Jeff Van Gundy 0-2 against the 76ers here in Philly. He says this place has been great for me. At the same time, it's been the source of a lot of misery. Remember that first game when Jeff took over from Don Nelson? I had the idea he was developing his style along the sideline at that time. Starks and the Knicks with an 84-68 lead. Davis. Oh, look out. That is offensive interference. In fact, Iverson used a couple of Knicks players to catapult himself to the basket.
Iverson at 6 feet tall. Watch him up at rim level now. Wow.
Went over the back of Larry Johnson. Here's Ward giving it up to Johnson. Beautiful play by Charlie Ward, who has done a terrific job here in a backup role.
Well, this spirited performance by the Knicks in the second half is really loosening them up. And I must say, too, Marv, the Sixers defense has gone. It is invisible. There is just no force at the defensive end of the court now by the Sixers.
Foul on Buck Williams is 5th.
Look at those turnovers. The Knicks forcing 23. They've enjoyed #1 status in that department in the NBA this year, but they're getting 35 of their 86 points off turnovers.
They come in averaging 18. They lead the NBA in forcing 18 turnovers per game, so they have already surpassed that number. The high point men for the Knicks: Allen Houston with 25, Larry Johnson with 18, Patrick Ewing with 17.
Larry Johnson trying to deliver that pass underneath the basket to Buck Williams. Larry Johnson enjoyed his season high with the Knicks against the Sixers at Madison Square Garden. 28 points in their first meeting.
6.5 remaining, 4th quarter. Starks with the strip. Took it from Weatherspoon. Johnson getting position on Weatherspoon. And then Weatherspoon got some help, and Johnson lost it, leading to the foul. It is on Johnson. That's number 4. The Knicks are over the foul limit. The Knicks by 16, pulling away in the 3rd quarter. They outscored the 76ers 26-10 in the 3rd. At one point had a 13-0 run. Looking for their first win of the season against Philadelphia.
Yet out of respect for the Sixers and their scoring potential, with a game tomorrow night against Detroit, a big game, Jeff Van Gundy brings Patrick Ewing back.
This could be a brief appearance of Ewing as he comes on for Buck Williams.
I think Jeff wants to make sure his team finishes strong and doesn't end up edging out, you know, a 5-point win. That they finish the game up big, strong.
Allen Houston now with 27 points. Allen Iverson has not shot well. He is 18, but just 6 of 20 from the field. Knicks lead 88-74. In light pressure. Sixers went to the trap earlier in this 4th quarter. Here's Ewing with the hesitation dribble and then looking to set it up. Iverson. And he'll go to the line.
Well, he walked when he got that ball. He took 2 full steps before he stopped. Got to go up in the air on that 2nd step.
Foul on Ewing, number 4.
Stackhouse moving. He's stopped by a combination of Ward. And you can see him, Iverson, coming down and coming to a screeching halt. Ward and Allen Houston, that was, stopping him.
And here's Chris Childs for Charlie Ward. 5 points, 6 assists, and a nice greeting from Jeff Van Gundy.
You know, I'm just thinking about Jeff's day in Philadelphia yesterday after Detroit. You know, it's just amazing how difficult the ups and downs of a week, of actually a bunch of hours thrown together. The Knicks so high Tuesday, then Wednesday's performance so disappointing, and then gloom settles in. And then tonight, the Knicks with a bright effort here and a good solid game so far.
Allen Houston for 3. That is a Knick career high for Houston. He has 30 points. Starks with the steal. And pulls it back. Well, and then he looks to hit the Houston down low.
We want everything.
The ups and downs of John Starks, pulling that surprise, not gunning the 3. Scott Williams. And the Knicks now lead 91-76.
It's funny, there was a story recently in the paper about John Starks' shooting decision-making, and the story basically said that Jeff Van Gundy pointing out that John's decision-making when shooting is his Achilles heel. And then John went back to a quote from Pat Riley when questioned about his shooting. He said, as Pat Riley used to say, you got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
So that's the story of John Starks. Tonight, it's been good, however.
In that category John subscribing to the Riley philosophy.
Yeah, he bought that one.
Yeah, well, obviously Pat Riley bought it, particularly that one night in Houston. 4:11 remaining. In this fourth quarter, the Knicks 91 and the Sixers 76. And here is Davis for three. Mark Davis from downtown, and the Knicks now lead 91-79. And a reach-in is called on Iverson. Allen Iverson, that is number 5. 76ers have been over the limit for a good portion of this quarter.
With Oakley on the bench, Jeff Van Gundy going with 4 starters now to finish this game.
Correction, the Sixers with their 4th team foul. The Knicks have been over the limit for most of the quarter. Mark Davis now does put the Sixers over the foul limit. And Ewing will shoot 2.
One of the happy statistics for the Knicks, 11 steals in this game. Knicks once again not going to the line much for good shooting. 8 of 12 for the team tonight from the line.
The Knicks have a 13-point lead. They have led by as many as 18. Blocking foul on Childs. And that's number 5 on Chris Childs. Dick Savetta being very precise in explaining to the Knicks bench why that call was made on Childs. Dick will give you the proper interpretation. And Allen Iverson at the line. Allen Iverson, the overall #1 pick in the draft. He was the Big East Defensive Player of the Year as a freshman and a sophomore. Averaged over 30 a game the first 2 meetings against the Knicks. Done a nice job on him here tonight, though. And again, a Philadelphia foul. It is on Davis. And the Knicks will be back at the foul line.
John Starks, despite the fine game of Allen Houston, has carved his way into this game. Jeff Van Gundy going with the 3 guards now. And John has not disappointed.
Coming into tonight, the Knicks a game behind the leaders of the Atlantic Division, Pat Riley's Miami Heat. Knicks at 16-7. And the 76ers 7 up, 16 down with 8 straight losses, and they have the Chicago Bulls tomorrow night here at home, and then they head out on a 7-game road trip. So the Knicks now lead 94-81.
The next assist for the Knicks will be number 30 in the game. A mighty impressive number.
76ers with some poor shot selection. They're now 37% from the field at 28 of 74. Coming up on 3 minutes remaining in the fourth. Shot clock at 1. And Johnson with the air ball. It is a 24-second violation. I mentioned the poor shooting by the Sixers. In the second half, they are only 9 for 31. That's under 30%. Davis's pass rejected by Starks. Caught it with the chest.
Iverson taking over the offense, just making all the decisions, getting the ball, trying to penetrate every time and give it up.
Stackhouse, air ball. Williams blew the layup, and then it's tipped home. Knicks wanted offensive interference, but do not get the call. 94-83 Knicks. Offensive foul on Childs, and that is number 6.
Well, once again, Chris will foul out. This time he's a little happier than last time because the Knicks are leading. But I think Iverson might have overreacted a bit to that attempt to push him off.
Holiday greetings from Budweiser. The people who bring you Budweiser wish you and yours the very best of everything this holiday season.
Announcing the Adventure Discovered Sweepstakes.
I've been shopping. Big time. It's all right here on my Discover Card statement.
Use your Discover Card, and you could win everything on Boyd Matson's statement.
Patagonia. It's me. 2 tickets on American. My new Jeep.
Plus, you'll join him on
a National Geographic filming expedition.
It's the grand prize in the Adventure Discovered Sweepstakes.
Well, I've done my shopping. Have you?
It pays to discover. Watch National Geographic Explorer on TBS.
Mike Crispino from the MSG Sports Desk with this update from Atlanta. The Nets are being ripped by the Hawks. They've actually made it close at this point, 107-93. Steve Smith on fire, hit a long-range 3. He had 20 into the third quarter. Down by 12 late, the Nets. Back to Philadelphia.
Thank you, Mike. So Atlanta on its way to a 5th straight win. They have surprised a lot of people. They'll play the Knicks Monday night at Madison Square Garden. The Hawks at 14-8, coming into tonight a half game behind the Cleveland Cavaliers. Chris Childs just fouled out for the 3rd time this season.
Let's see this push off by Childs as Iverson went flying. He's used to that left hand of Childs. There appeared to be a bit of an overreaction, and I think that's what Childs ended up smiling about, that the guy got him. Meaning Iverson just lured him into that foul.
29 minutes for Childs. Davis, it counts, and the foul. And the Sixers hanging around, down by as many as 18, and now down by just 9 with 2.5 remaining.
This Davis, Mark Davis, has star quality. I mean, he has razzle-dazzled the Knicks in parts of each of these 3 games they've met.
The Sixer free throw shooting has been poor. Davis has 12 points tonight. And a loose ball foul against Philadelphia. That's number 4 on Stackhouse. The numbers on Childs, 2 for 10 from the field. Did not shoot well, 4 points, but 7 assists. And I thought he and Ward did a pretty good job on Iverson. Now, Iverson did not shoot well, and there was some poor shot selection. Also, a guy like Iverson suffers because he has the ball so much. He ends up trying to bail out the Sixers at the end of the shot clock and also at the end of quarters, and that contributes to the bad shooting. And tonight, Iverson 6 of 20 from the field.
Charlie Ward played a very important role in this game because when Childs had to sit, he came out and did a nice job. He had 6 assists in 18 minutes, and as you say, Marv, did a nice job with the man with the ball.
Although Iverson right there got the step, could not hit. Knicks lead by 11. Again, a foul. It is on Davis. And the foul's hurting the 76ers. Both teams are over the limit now. We have 2:16 left in the 4th. And the Knicks are up 96-85 as Starks goes to the line. He is 2 of 2 at the free throw line.
You mentioned a moment ago the Sixers not shooting well at the foul line. Meanwhile, they've been there 33 times to the Knicks now 17.
Our statistician Paul Evans, who may be having a career night tonight. You know, we don't hand out the kudos that frequently, but Paul has pointed out the Knicks' 29 assists have come from only 37 field goals made, which is quite unusual. So they have assisted on 78% of their field goals, which is it's a high percentile.
Means we didn't have a one-on-one offense by the Knicks.
Good sign. 3 for Stackhouse. And the Knicks now lead 97, 88, 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So the Sixers did not pack it in. Here's Ewing. Oh, Patrick Ewing going baseline and comes up with the emphatic slam.
A statement by Ewing.
And then looked over at the Sixer bench. Stackhouse. Gary Stackhouse. And the Knicks lead is now 99-90. A minute 37 remaining in the fourth quarter. And the Knicks should be in no hurry. Charlie Ward, Allen Houston. Now the shot clock is down to 7. Now they must look for the shot. And Houston, a very difficult shot. The Knicks lead is 9. 1:15 left, fourth quarter. Ewing broke up the pass but committed the foul. A push on Scott Williams. And Williams to the line for the first time tonight.
Sixers competing hard now, making it interesting at the end. Crowd awakening once more.
Number 5 on Ewing. Williams only 11 of 16 at the line this season. Has not been a steady free throw shooter over the years, but hits the first.
Ewing picking out a friend with that little wink.
Ewing with 20 points, 13 rebounds. Well, Scott Williams comes through, hits both, and it's only a 7-point Knick lead as we come up on 1 minute remaining in the fourth quarter. Charlie Ward handling it well against Allen Iverson. Now faces the double team. Here's Ewing spinning his way and drew the foul. Foul on Scott Williams. That's 5 on Williams.
You see why Jeff Van Gundy has not hesitated to stay with his guys right to the end, although they have succumbed a bit in letting the Sixers come back. But he had great respect for the Sixers. Here's Patrick Ewing's jam a moment ago. And Patrick dispenses with the basketball, the rim, and the opponent, then gives the glare to the Sixers bench.
Charlie Ward nearly stole the rebound. Almost came up with that loose ball. Sixers take a timeout. The Knicks 100. 76ers 92 with 54 seconds left.
Pistons come to the Garden. MCS Cannon game night will be at 7 p.m. and the action will be at 7:30, Marv. We're going to miss you. It's going to be a big one. The Sixers right now, however, are trying to figure out a way they can make this even closer to bother the Knicks. Take another look at Patrick Ewing going baseline. The big stuff. Get away from me, defense. Another look at it now. You know, he enjoyed that one. Ewing likes those flying one-handed stuffs.
So the Knicks with 3 full timeouts, 76ers with 1 left. And Scott Brooks has become the final minute specialist because of his excellent free throw shooting. So he's on the floor and he's guarding Allen Iverson. Iverson sweeping in. He drew the foul. It counts. And he'll go to the line. He was able to beat Brooks. And Allen Houston committed a foul, but it was not hard enough. The 76ers very much alive with 51 seconds remaining in the fourth.
Well, it's difficult for anybody to guard Iverson, and Scott Brooks, I think he was still tying his pants when Iverson was going by him. That's how fast it happened. Brooks now back on the bench.
Not able to complete the three-point play, and Ewing with an important rebound. The Knicks lead by 6. Starks fouled by Scott Williams, and he has had it. That is number 6. Scott Williams is fouled out, leaving with 10 points. John Starks to the line. He's 3 of 4 at the free throw line.
Well, if you're Jeff Van Gundy, you're very pleased to see John Starks at the foul line in a moment like this. He always seems to do a good job in clutch moments at the foul line.
The Knicks 14 of 20 at the line tonight. High point men of the game. A Knick career high for Allen Houston with 30. His overall career high as a member of the Pistons, 38. Patrick Ewing with 21. Larry Johnson with 18 points. And Starks hits on both for an 8-point lead. We are down to 40 seconds left in the fourth. Iverson now guarded by Houston. Able to beat him off the dribble, then stopped by Ewing, but Davis right there. It's a 6-point game again, and the foul is given by Davis. That will put Ward at the line. Charlie Ward is 4 of 4 at the line tonight. And Charlie for the season, a 73% free throw shooter.
Very impressive basket by Mark Davis once again. Doesn't have the big body, but his speed and jumping ability is exceptional.
Mark Davis in his second year out of Texas Tech goes 6'7", 210 pounds. Spent last year with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So Starks hits on both, followed up by Ward, and the Knicks lead 104-96 with a half minute remaining in the fourth. Again, Iverson putting moves on Ward, setting up Weatherspoon.
Unbelievable how easily they're scoring here.
104-98. And again, the Sixers will look to foul. Ward handling, gets it down. And now the foul is given. It's on Iverson with 16 and 9/10 seconds to go. So Starks back to the line. Now the foul call changed to Stackhouse. Just collected his 5th. And John Starks, who a moment ago hit 2 of 2 at the line, is now 5 for 6.
John Starks, currently the Knicks' second leading scorer at a shade under 14 a game.
And he has managed 13 points in his 18 minutes tonight. Did not get the playing time because of the hot shooting of Allen Houston. He has scored 11 of his 13 in the fourth quarter. He has been a significant fourth quarter player right throughout the season. So John Starks continues the clutch free throw shooting. The Knicks 106, Philadelphia 98, 16 and 9/10 seconds remaining in the fourth, and the Sixers call for time.
She knew where she was headed.
Happened tonight. 37-point fourth quarter with 16 to go, 16 seconds. They died in the third quarter with 10 points.
Rex Walters will throw in. Knicks lead at 106-98. Knicks do not want to foul to put the Sixers on the line and stop the clock. Stackhouse from way downtown. 106-101, and now the Sixers give the foul. Jerry Stackhouse from straight away with the long three-pointer. He now has 25. Foul committed by Allen Iverson, and that is number 6 on Iverson. So he departs with 22 points. Did not shoot well. And again, John Starks at the line. In the final minute, he's 4 of 4 at the free throw line.
Several fans have left early, and when they read the Inquirer or the News tomorrow, they're going to be surprised at this valiant finish by their home team.
and 4/10 seconds to go in this fourth quarter. The Knicks now lead by 6. John Starks, 6 of 6 at the line here in the final minute. Walters. Sixers scoring at will every trip down. And now Houston is fouled with just 2 and 4/10 seconds to go. The Knicks lead is 5, 108 to 103. Lucius Harris, who came on for Iverson, called for the foul.
This fourth quarter scoring is really shocking.
Previous high for a quarter against the Knicks this season. The Sonics had a 36-point third quarter. So the Sixers have passed that by. Out in Houston, continuing the clutch Knick free throw shooting. Houston with 32 points, and that will be a foul shooting contest in the final minutes of the fourth. But a very solid performance by the New York Knicks as they defeat the Philadelphia 76ers 110-103. The Knicks in the fourth quarter at the line were 17 for 20. So the Knicks bounce back from the poor performance against the Pistons on Wednesday, and they go to 17-7, and they have won 8 of their last 9, while the Sixers make it 9 straight defeats.
This is the famous Budweiser beer. We know of no brand produced by any other brew.
Whose Scotch Sumas